I never expected to find my best friend's secret, hidden in plain sight, but when I did, it tore apart everything I thought I knew about loyalty. My name is Jake, and until recently, I thought I had a solid grasp on friendship, loyalty, and love. Kyle had been my best friend since high school. We'd shared everything: graduations, first jobs, heartbreaks, and wild parties. Our friendship had always been rock solid, and I trusted him like a brother. But what I discovered about him a year ago shattered everything I thought I knew. Kyle was married to Emily, a woman I'd known almost as long as I'd known him. She was beautiful, kind, and had an uncanny ability to make everyone feel welcome and appreciated. From the moment they got together, they seemed like the perfect couple. Honestly, I envied their relationship. I had been through several relationships myself, none of which lasted, but Kyle and Emily? They were the kind of couple I aspired to be, full of trust, understanding, and genuine love. They appeared to have everything figured out. But as it turned out, no one knew what was really happening behind closed doors. It all started on a seemingly normal Friday night. Our usual group of friends gathered at Kyle's house for drinks, a tradition we'd kept since college. Emily was there, laughing along with us, and everything seemed perfectly normal. We had a great time, everyone was in high spirits, and the evening passed in a blur of laughter, music, and good company. But that night marked the beginning of the unraveling of everything I thought I knew. As the night wore on, Kyle and I ended up in his garage, having a few beers and talking about mundane things, work, sports, and old times. But I noticed a change in him. He was quieter than usual, more withdrawn. It was like he had something heavy weighing on his mind. "You ever feel like you're just going through the motions?" he asked suddenly, staring at his beer bottle. I shrugged, thinking he was just drunk. "Sometimes. Everyone does." Kyle took a long drink from his bottle and then looked at me with a seriousness I'd never seen before. "I mean, really going through the motions. Like you're living a lie, and you don't know how to stop." I felt a pang of anxiety. "What are you talking about?" He hesitated before finally saying, "I've been seeing someone else. For almost a year now." The words hit me like a punch. Kyle? The guy who had always been so devoted to Emily? I didn't know how to react. I stared at him, trying to process what he was saying. "I know it sounds bad," he said, "but it's not as simple as it seems." "Not as simple as it seems?" I echoed. "You're cheating on your wife, Kyle. There's nothing simple about that." Kyle looked away, clearly uncomfortable. It wasn't supposed to happen. It just did. I was furious. Kyle and Emily had always seemed so perfect together. How could he do this? "You need to tell her," I said firmly. Kyle nodded, but I could see the hesitation in his eyes. "I know I should. I just don't know how." "You just need to tell her the truth," I said. "She deserves to know." Kyle nodded again, but I wasn't convinced he'd do it. His reluctance was palpable, and I was starting to worry about how this would affect everything. Weeks went by, and Kyle still hadn't told Emily. I began to distance myself from him, struggling with the knowledge of his betrayal. It was hard to look at him and not see the deceit behind his smile. Every time I saw Emily, I felt a deep sense of guilt and discomfort. She was completely unaware of what was happening behind her back, and I felt complicit just by knowing. I tried to keep busy with work, taking on extra projects and spending more time at the office. I hoped that if I kept my distance from Kyle and Emily, I wouldn't have to confront the uncomfortable truth I knew. But avoiding them only made things more complicated. The guilt of knowing Kyle's secret weighed heavily on me, and it was affecting my work and personal life. One evening, I received a call from a mutual friend, Mark. He wanted to meet up and talk. I wasn't sure what to expect, but when we sat down at our favorite diner, Mark looked unusually serious. "Jake, I've been hearing rumors," Mark said. "People are talking about Kyle and Emily. They say things aren't going well. Do you know something?" I hesitated, not wanting to betray Kyle's confidence but also feeling that Mark deserved to know the truth. "Yeah, I know something," I admitted. "But it's not my place to say anything." Mark looked at me with concern. "Whatever it is, it's affecting everyone. We need to address this." I sighed, feeling the weight of my decision. Kyle's been having an affair for almost a year. I don't know what to do. Mark's eyes widened. "Are you serious?" "Yeah," I said. "I've tried to get him to tell Emily, but he hasn't done it yet." Mark looked troubled. "This is going to come out eventually. Maybe we should do something." I agreed, though I wasn't sure what action to take. We decided to keep an eye on Kyle and try to support Emily as much as we could without revealing Kyle's secret. The situation was growing increasingly tense, and I felt helpless. One night, at a friend's barbecue, I found myself face to face with Kyle again. He seemed on edge, and the guilt was written all over his face. I decided it was time to have another talk with him. "Have you told Emily yet?" I asked, trying to keep my voice calm. Kyle shook his head. No, Hake. I can't bring myself to do it. You need to, I said. The longer you wait, the worse it's going to be. Kyle looked at me with desperation. I know. But I'm afraid of losing her. I don't want to hurt her. You're already hurting her by not being honest, I said. It's not fair to her. Kyle's expression was one of deep regret. I messed up, Jake. I don't know what to do. I felt a pang of sympathy for him, but my frustration outweighed it. You have to make it right. If you truly care about Emily, you need to come clean. Kyle nodded, but I could see the internal struggle on his face. I hoped he would take my advice, but I was losing faith. The situation reached its breaking point when Emily finally found out the truth. I wasn't there when it happened, but I got a frantic call from her late one night. Her voice was shattered, and I could barely make out her words. Jake, Kyle told me everything, she said. I don't understand how he could do this to me. My heart sank. Emily explained that she had seen a message from Ashley on Kyle's phone and confronted him. Kyle had confessed to the affair and the depth of his betrayal. Emily moved out immediately and went to stay with her sister. The divorce proceedings began swiftly. Our group of friends was divided. Some supported Kyle, believing he deserved a second chance. Others, like me, couldn't forgive him for what he had done. The betrayal was too deep. Kyle tried to continue his relationship with Ashley, but it was fraught with difficulties. The guilt and fallout from his marriage made it nearly impossible for them to stay together. They broke up after a few months, leaving Kyle alone and struggling to cope with his choices. Emily, on the other hand, focused on rebuilding her life. She went back to school to get her master's degree and threw herself into her career. Her resilience was impressive, and over time, she began to find happiness again. She cut off all contact with Kyle and refused to engage with him, focusing solely on her own recovery and growth. As months passed, the ripple effects of Kyle's actions were felt throughout our social circle. Many friends chose sides, and some relationships were irreparably damaged. The tension and awkwardness were palpable whenever we all gathered, and I found myself distancing from those who continued to support Kyle. It was hard to watch the fallout unfold, knowing that I had been part of the reason for it. Kyle's attempts to reach out to me were met with mixed emotions. On one hand, I wanted to offer him some guidance and support as he faced the consequences of his actions. On the other hand, I couldn't ignore the fact that his betrayal had hurt so many people, including me. I struggled with how to balance my own feelings with the desire to be a good friend. One evening, Kyle and I met up at a local bar. The atmosphere was subdued, and the conversation was strained. Kyle seemed tired and worn out, his face etched with lines of regret and fatigue. I've been trying to make sense of everything, Kyle said quietly. It's been hard to come to terms with what I did. I looked at him, struggling to maintain my composure. You hurt a lot of people, Kyle. Emily trusted you completely, and you threw that away. I know, Kyle said, his voice breaking. I can't undo the past. I'm just trying to move forward and make amends where I can. I wanted to believe him, but it was hard. His actions had caused so much pain, and the trust that had once existed was now gone. It's not just about making amends, I said. It's about understanding why you did what you did and working to ensure it never happens again. Kyle nodded, his eyes filled with tears. I'm seeing a therapist. I'm trying to understand my mistakes and be a better person. I appreciated his efforts, but I knew that rebuilding trust was a long and difficult process. The damage had been done, and the road to redemption was going to be challenging. I decided to offer Kyle some advice and support, but I couldn't fully reconcile with the past. Our friendship had changed irrevocably, and it would take time to heal. Emily's journey of self-discovery and healing continued to inspire those around her. She became more involved in community work, using her experience to help others who had gone through similar situations. Her strength and resilience were a testament to her character, and she found fulfillment in helping others navigate their own challenges. Kyle's path was more solitary. He continued to work on himself, but the isolation and guilt were constant reminders of his actions. His relationships with friends and family were strained, and he struggled to find his place in a world that had been significantly altered by his choices. In the end, the story of Kyle's betrayal became a powerful lesson about the complexities of human relationships and the consequences of our actions. It was a reminder that loyalty, trust, and honesty are the cornerstones of any meaningful connection, and that facing the truth, no matter how painful, is crucial for personal growth and redemption. As I look back on the events of the past year, I realize that the experience taught me valuable lessons about friendship, trust, and the importance of confronting uncomfortable truths. While the scars of the betrayal remain, they serve as a reminder of the importance of integrity and the impact that our actions can have on those we care about. I discovered my brother's double life when I walked in on him in the act, and it revealed a web of deceit that changed my family forever. My name is Tom, and I've always looked up to my older brother Alex. Growing up, he was the epitome of success and charm. He had it all: a thriving career, a stunning wife named Lisa, and a beautiful daughter named Sophie. Their life seemed perfect, a testament to Alex's ability to balance everything effortlessly. This idealized vision of them was shattered one fateful weekend when I stumbled upon a truth that would forever alter my understanding of family and trust. I had been feeling overwhelmed with work and thought a visit to Alex's home would provide a much-needed escape. I imagined a weekend filled with family warmth, laughter, and a chance to reconnect. Little did I know that this visit would unravel a disturbing reality, exposing the hidden cracks in what I had thought was a flawless family portrait. When I arrived at their home on Friday evening, everything appeared normal. Lisa greeted me with her characteristic warmth, and Sophie ran to hug me with her usual exuberance. Their home, with its inviting aroma of Lisa's cooking and the cheerful sounds of family life, felt like a comforting sanctuary. I was looking forward to spending quality time with them and catching up on life. Lisa mentioned she had an early meeting the next day and decided to retire early. Alex and I, on the other hand, stayed up in the living room, reminiscing about old times and catching up on each other's lives. I noticed that Alex seemed somewhat distracted, but I attributed it to the stresses of work. He had been working long hours, and I assumed he was simply tired. Eventually, Alex suggested we move to his study for a more private conversation. His study was a cozy, well-organized room lined with bookshelves filled with personal mementos and framed photographs of family moments. We settled into his comfortable leather chairs, and Alex poured us both a drink. Despite the relaxed setting, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. As we spoke, Alex's demeanor shifted. He began to open up about feelings of dissatisfaction and confusion that I had never heard from him before. "Tom," he said, his voice unusually somber, "I've been feeling like something is missing in my life. It's as if I'm not being true to myself." I was taken aback. Alex had always been the confident, assured one. "What are you talking about? You have a great life. What's going on?" Alex hesitated, struggling to articulate his thoughts. "I don't know how to explain it. It's like I'm living a lie, like I'm pretending to be someone I'm not." I didn't press him further. I assumed he was going through a personal crisis and hoped he would work through it. We finished our drinks and went to bed, the weight of our conversation lingering in my mind. The next evening, Lisa had planned a dinner party with friends, which meant Alex and I had the house to ourselves. I brought a bottle of wine, hoping to create a more relaxed atmosphere. When I arrived, I noticed the front door was slightly ajar. This struck me as odd, but I pushed it open, calling out, "Hey, Alex, I'm here." There was no response. The house was unusually quiet. Hearing muffled voices coming from the master bedroom, I felt a growing sense of unease. I thought Alex might be on a call or something, so I decided to check it out. As I approached the bedroom door, I could clearly hear Alex's voice and a woman's voice. The tone was intimate and urgent. My heart raced as I pushed the door open. The scene inside was one I could never have imagined. Alex was in bed with a woman who was not Lisa. The woman's eyes widened in shock as she scrambled to cover herself. Alex's face went pale, his eyes filled with a mix of guilt and fear. "What the hell is going on?" I demanded, my voice trembling with a mix of anger and disbelief. Alex's reaction was one of immediate panic. "Tom, I didn't mean for you to find out like this." The woman quickly dressed and fled the room, leaving Alex and me alone. The weight of what I had just seen sank in. The image of the perfect family had been shattered in an instant. "I can't believe this," I said, my voice barely steady. "You're cheating on Lisa, and you didn't even have the decency to be honest about it." Alex looked away, unable to meet my gaze. I didn't know how to tell her. I didn't want to hurt her. I thought I could fix things before anyone found out. Lisa chose that moment to walk in. Her face was a mixture of confusion and raw anger. "What's happening here, Alex? Why is Tom here, and why is there another woman in our house?" Lisa's reaction was immediate and devastating. She broke down in tears, unable to process the betrayal. Alex tried to explain, but his words felt hollow. The trust that had been the cornerstone of their relationship was shattered beyond repair. In the days following the discovery, the impact on our family was profound. Lisa moved out with Sophie, taking refuge with her sister. The once warm and inviting home now felt cold and desolate. Alex was left alone, grappling with the consequences of his actions. I found myself in a difficult and painful position. I wanted to support Lisa and Sophie, but I also felt a sense of duty towards my brother. I spent time with Lisa, helping her navigate the early stages of separation and providing emotional support. Witnessing her cope with the betrayal was heart-wrenching, and I felt a deep sense of guilt for not having seen the warning signs earlier. Alex sought therapy, trying to understand why he had strayed from his family. He reached out to me, looking for guidance and support. I was torn. On one hand, he was my brother, and I wanted to help him through his crisis. On the other hand, his actions had caused immense pain, and it was difficult to reconcile the person I knew with the one who had betrayed his family. Alex's attempts to reconcile with Lisa were met with resistance. Lisa was not ready to forgive him, and their relationship remained strained. Alex made efforts to reconnect with friends and family, but many remained distant. Rebuilding trust was a slow and challenging process, and Alex faced the harsh reality of living with the consequences of his actions. Lisa, meanwhile, threw herself into her work. She found solace in her community and used her experience to support others facing similar situations. Her resilience and determination were inspiring, and she began to find a new sense of normalcy and purpose. Alex continued with therapy, working through his issues and trying to understand his mistakes. He made efforts to improve himself and reconnect with those he had hurt. It was a solitary journey, marked by moments of self-reflection and regret. Months passed, and the repercussions of Alex's betrayal continued to reverberate through our family. Friends and family were divided in their opinions. Some sympathized with Alex, believing he deserved a chance to make amends. Others, like me, found it hard to overlook the pain he had caused. The process of rebuilding trust was slow and fraught with challenges. One evening, Alex and I met at a local diner for a heart-to-heart conversation. It was an emotional discussion, as Alex tried to come to terms with his actions and sought my guidance. "I'm trying to understand why I did what I did," Alex said quietly, his voice filled with regret. "I know I hurt a lot of people, and I'm sorry for that. I'm working on myself, but it's hard to see a way forward." I looked at him, torn between empathy and frustration. It's not just about saying sorry. It's about understanding why you strayed and making sure you never repeat the mistake. It's about being honest with yourself and others. Alex nodded, tears in his eyes. "I'm trying, Tom. I hope I can find a way to make things right." Lisa's journey of healing was a testament to her strength. She found new purpose in her life and used her experience to help others. Her story was one of overcoming adversity and finding hope in the face of betrayal. She began to rebuild her life, focusing on her well-being and that of her daughter. Alex's path to redemption was long and challenging. He faced the consequences of his actions and worked hard to understand his mistakes. The emotional scars left by his betrayal were a constant reminder of the impact of his actions. Rebuilding trust with friends and family was a slow process, and Alex learned that forgiveness is not easily given. For me, the experience was a harsh reminder of the fragility of trust and the necessity of confronting difficult truths. The bonds of family and friendship were tested, and the strength to overcome adversity came from facing the reality of our actions and striving to be better. Reflecting on the events, I realized that while the scars of betrayal remain, they also serve as a reminder of the importance of honesty and integrity. The lessons learned from this experience will stay with me, guiding me as I navigate the complexities of human relationships and confront uncomfortable truths. As time goes on, the story of Alex's betrayal continues to evolve. The process of healing and rebuilding is ongoing, and each day brings new challenges and opportunities for growth. The journey is far from over, but the lessons learned will shape our paths as we strive to mend the broken pieces and rebuild the trust that was lost. In the end, the story serves as a powerful reminder of the impact of our actions and the importance of facing the truth, no matter how painful it may be. It highlights the strength of the human spirit and the possibility of redemption, even in the aftermath of betrayal.